Hello, everyone, and welcome to the IAM Love Builder Show. We are your hosts, Casper and Cheryl Stockham, and we are so excited that you tuned in with us today.
Yep.
We'd like to give a great big shout out to all of our broadcast partners. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. I Am Love Builders is a show that's dedicated to all things that deal with relationships and communication. We believe that you can become an MVP. That's the most valuable partner in your marriage or relationship.
Mhm.
In I Am Love Builders, we have one thing that we stand on, and that is if you're not having fun, you are not doing it right.
No doubt about that. And we got a lot of updates for the folks. So a couple of weeks ago, we were in Dallas, Texas area,
Yes, we
right?
were.
At the Zanti Awards, second annual Zanti Awards. And we won.
Yay!
We won the Zanti Award. It's kind of like the People's Choice Award, but for the Zandra TV network. So we're super excited about that. And now we're working to actually elevate the show now, because now we're award-winning TV
Right.
producers now. We got to elevate things. So we're excited about the Zanti Awards. And if that wasn't enough, oops, I just passed it. We were nominated for America's Favorite Couple. So
Wow.
this voting starts tomorrow. If you're listening to this live on Sunday, it starts Monday morning, the 30th of June. And we need everybody to vote.
Yay! Please vote.
This is like the People's Choice Award again, but for the America's Favorite Couple. So we're hoping to place well, because if we win, that's $20,000
Woohoo!
and a spread in Variety magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good opportunity for us to continue on our mission and our cause and our I Am Love Builder cause.
Yes,
right?
so we want you to vote and pray and pray and vote
pray, and vote
and vote and pray
Yeah.
and pray.
Yeah.
Okay.
and then vote again. Absolutely. So we have two shows that we are actually doing a casting call for in Dallas area at the Zandra TV studios. One is Winning with Love, season 2 of
Mhm.
Winning with Love, and we won the Zanti Award for season 1. And we're doing a single show as well, Winning the Single Game, season 1 of that,
Yes.
also on the Zandra TV network. So we're doing a casting call for both of those shows. We also have a lot of services that we provide through the Zandra TV network. We have TV advertising, movie production, podcast promotion, micro networks. We got a lot of stuff going on with Zandra TV. So we're super excited to be able to offer those services to the folks. We also have a most valuable partner excuse me, network on Facebook.
Mhm.
It's a free network for folks to join, and we dispense a lot of great relationship information, communication information on this Facebook group. It's a growing Facebook group that we would be happy for folks to join. We also have an app, so we kind of bring all this stuff together through the app, and you can get the app on our website, which is IamLoveBuilders.com. You can download the free app.
Mhm.
A lot of great information. We've got love assessments, we've got quizzes, we've got ebooks. We've got a lot of great stuff that you can access through the app on our website. And last but not least, our sponsors to our episode is Texas All Stars. These guys have really perfected the crypto mining space. A lot of people don't understand crypto mining, but it's really the back end of the crypto arena. And it's a safer place to be because they're making the coin, right? It's like the wholesale part of the crypto space. So it's a very safe place to be. We actually have a miner ourselves. So we're excited about what it's producing for us. Every day we're producing coin that can be traded on the market. So that's just an exciting place to be, excited to be connected with this group, the Texas All Stars. All right. So we have some really awesome folks that we connected with a few months ago, I think now, but a really great couple. They actually are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But we have their book that we're going to be talking about as well as we get into it. But we're going to bring them on now. and introduce them to you, and then have them tell us a little bit about themselves. So we have Robert and Kathy Hunt. How?
Hi, guys.
Hey.
All right. So we want you guys to kind of introduce yourselves to our audience, and then we're going to take a quick break and come back and really dive into it. So if you say something really fascinating, we're going to key in on that. And come
Fascinating. Well, we won the America's Favorite Couple Award last year.
Oh,
You
wow.
did?
No, I'm just messing around. I heard your intro.
Yeah, be fooled. I said, okay, sounds good.
In our world,
I
we think we
remember
won.
I was on a podcast recently, and they were trashing 7-Elevens, just saying all this horrible stuff about 7-Elevens, and then they introduced me, and I go, "Oh, I own a chain of 7-Elevens," and the guy's face just went down like, "What?" Anyway, so I'm Robert. This is my beautiful wife, Kathy. We've been married 27 years, and we live in North Texas in the Dallas area, little town called Frisco. Actually, I think Frisco is like the fastest growing city in America for the last 10 years or something like that. It reminds me of growing up in Southern California. We grew up in Orange County, and it was very much a suburban vibe until it overpopulated and all that. But we live here with our son, James. He's still at home while he finishes up a degree in college in marketing. And then our daughter, Lauren, lives in Austin with her husband, Dylan, and she's 33. And so they've been down there for a few years. So we go to church here in the area, a local church called Chase Oaks. We're very much in love with our church group there and have a good life with them. And I guess that's us. Do you want to add anything?
So, Kathy, how did you guys meet? We want to go
all
the way back.
This is IAM Love Builders. You have to
I love that
love story.
Well, I think it's a great story. So thank you. But we were good friends. I became a Christian at 16, and I started going to a church, and that is the church he started going to. So we went to different high schools in the same city, but same church. So youth group. So he was everyone's favorite and very funny and popular. And I just thought, who is this person? So we were just really good friends, really through all through high school, and then. He's just always been that same person, even as a young boy to a man. He's always been so kind and funny. And we just have always had a great chemistry and friendship. And we never dated each other. We were just each other's cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then he got married to a wonderful lady, and they were married for about 10 years. And I was married to somebody, but I'm sure
that's the nicest you've described it.
Thank you.
That's really nice.
Right?
You
But
get soft in your old age.
I know. And we got to reconnect that way. And then all of a sudden, I think he realized that I was a girl. I don't know. So that's so we've always had a great friendship.
And when I got divorced, I had a 3-year-old daughter. I still have a daughter. And then Kathy would babysit for me. So when I needed help, but I was never going to get remarried again. But I knew Kathy, and she was safe, and she was a good friend. And then we dated for like 4 years, and I couldn't imagine ever trusting again and getting married again. But God softened my heart at one point, and then we got married in 1998. So it's been wonderful since then.
Yep.
All right. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to hear more about the dating and the marriage process and all that stuff. You are watching I Am Love Builders with Casper and Cheryl. We have our special MVP guests in studio, Robert and Kathy Hunt. We'll be right back in just a moment. Welcome to I Am Love Builders MVP Premiere. Your marriage or relationship deserves the best. You deserve MVP Premiere. Introducing our exclusive 5-day one-on-one intensive immersion training. A life-changing experience for only 8 couples per year. From door-to-door charter travel to your choice of 4 exclusive locations. Gourmet dining, romantic outings, and VIP local transportation will be part of everything. And the best part is, you gain lifetime access support via phone, text, or video chat. Your relationship reimagined. Reinvented, renewed, MVP Premiere, because you both deserve nothing less. Apply today. Spots are filling fast.
Wow.
All right, we are back at I Am Love Builder Show. Casper and Cheryl, and we have our special MVP guests in studio, Robert and Kathy Hunt. Now, okay, so you guys were each married before, and then there was divorces or whatever happened, or sound like Kathy took her ex out. So,
There were times where she was thinking she wished she would have. But we don't need to speak.
And vice versa.
We don't need to
I'm
speak ill
sure.
of anybody.
Vice versa for him.
It's the past.
Yeah. But anyway,
I get that. Unfortunately, I have several of those situations that I had to repent for.
Mhm.
For all right, so so you guys realized that you were you were dating for a while, you said, or
Yeah, we started hanging out after I had got divorced, and it was just more like, hey, come over. Lauren and I are doing this. You wanted to come do something with us, and she had a lot of free time, and I liked having Kathy around. But it wasn't too long until I realized that, wow, she's really an amazing woman. We had been friends for so long, but she was my friend, and then she was married to someone, so that just wasn't an issue.
right?
When we were hanging out, I really started to realize what an amazing woman she is, and I knew I loved her, but my divorce was a big surprise, and it was a horrible, horrible situation, and I hated it. And I had a little girl, and I was committed to raising her up, and I didn't want to bring someone else in her life who maybe would make that same thing happen again. And so I just couldn't imagine trusting. And so we hung out for 3 years. I think at one point I broke up and said, I just don't feel like I'm honoring you by continuing to say we're going to hang out when I have no intention of ever marrying you. And then I was, I don't want to lose her. Maybe I can make her wait a little longer. And anyway, so 4 years we dated, and then we got married in '98.
Yeah.
Very good. So tell me, how did the Holy Spirit minister to you to kind of soften your heart? Because he had to minister to me too. Casper was ready for marriage, and I was like, no.
Wow.
Yeah.
However,
Wow.
I was in Virginia Beach on a business trip, and I'd been in South Carolina for the week before, and I had to be in Virginia on Monday. So I stayed at Virginia Beach, and I thought, this would be great. I'll get out in the sun and enjoy myself. And all I did was work. I remember Sunday morning waking up, I'm doing emails and doing research and things, and people are rollerblading by outside my window. And I thought, I'm such a loser. This is how my life's going to be. I'm just going to be by myself, and all because I'm afraid to take a risk again. And I just spent the day talking to the Lord, just saying, I don't want to live like this. It was an interesting journey because in 94, I fully surrendered my heart to Christ at a Promise Keepers rally. And it was then that I really, really was surrendering my life to Jesus. He was the Lord of my life at that point. Before I was saved, I wasn't going to go to hell, but he wasn't my Lord.
Yeah.
So having built the relationship with him 3 months before my wife served me papers and cleaned out the house, and I came home to an empty home and no kid and no wife.
Wow.
I was like, well, Lord, what the heck? This is how you thank me for surrendering my life to you. And he told me, no, I was doing this to get you ready for today. And so in those months that followed and the years that followed, I really grew in my faith, and I grew to really know him well. But my heart was hurt, and I just didn't think I could ever trust. But I spent that day just talking with the Lord, and I just decided, I think if I'd rather have my heart hurt again, if I'm going to take a chance, I'll take a chance on Kathy.
Yeah.
And I would rather not lose the relationship with her out of fear. And I just told him, you're just going to have to help me not have fear. And I think even just a few years ago, I remember talking to Kathy about, I think my heart has let go of some more of the things it blocked out. I believe when I married Kathy, I gave her my whole heart, but I think my heart was blocked up. There was parts of it that just weren't open anymore. And then as the years had gone on and we had life together, maybe it was just only a couple of years ago when I just finally said, I feel like another piece of my heart opened up to you again. I feel like I love Kathy more now than I ever have. And our relationship is richer and more robust. And I think that's because the Lord opened up more in my heart again. I didn't intentionally close it down. I didn't intentionally open it up. It just was, it occurred, and I felt different. And I think that's helped me love her more.
Yeah, I would say. And on a side note, when he was gone, the Lord had told me to fast. And I was like, what? Okay. So I had an idea when on this day I would fast, and he woke me up early in the morning. It was like, today's the day. And I was okay. So the whole day I know you keep saying change. And maybe I need to realize he's never going to get married. And I want someone to want to be married. I'm not begging or pleading, but I know I want to get married. maybe not to this person, but I know I have the desire. So what are we doing? But at least we have the friendship. So that was really important. But while he was gone, the Lord just kept on saying, there's a change. And I don't know what that means except change. And
Yeah.
so when it broke the fast, it was like, I still had peace and it was wonderful. But Robert came back and he was gone for his birthday. And I said, well, I'm going to take you to this restaurant. It was one of our favorite restaurants.
Mhm.
I said, I'm at a reservation. And he's like, I'm at a reservation. Like we both made a reservation at the same place, same day, half an hour apart. Like,
Oh, wow.
he's like, why are you doing that? I go, well, it was your birthday while you were gone. So of course we're going to celebrate your birthday. But that's where he was deciding to plan.
And she thought I was taking her there to break up with her.
Well, yeah, because the Lord kept on saying,
I'm not going to spend a lot of money on you if I'm breaking up with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Coco's.
Well, I mean, for years he was like, I never want to get married. And it's like, I don't want to get married because I was divorced, but we're having fun. And then it was like, oh, I'm in love with you. And so I need to stop because you've been so honest. You've been straightforward. And so have I. But now I know I want to be married and I want somebody to want to be married. I was already with somebody who didn't want to be married. I've already played that game. So we were good in that. I was like, well, no pressure, but I know I want to. And then we talked about it. And then he's like, well, you would get married to somebody? It's like, yeah, because I'm not going to be your girlfriend forever because I want to be married. You can be a friend. And so it worked out.
It was kind of selfish, to be honest.
Yeah. But isn't it amazing how God does things? A lot of times we use the analogy of the onion, how there's just different layers, and he'll peel off one or two layers, and you think, I'm good, God. All right, we're all right. And then next thing you know, he's pulling off more layers that you didn't even know were there.
Yeah. So when he said, I think I'm giving you my heart, it was just kind of like, well, what have you been withholding? But you didn't realize there was a blockage, I should say, until you just really realized one day, which was wonderful because I do think that has definitely a different trajectory in our marriage. So it's been a great foundation. And I like the idea as being older and being married longer to find new ways to fall in love versus the opposite, where we see a lot of people I've dealt with this for so long, I've stopped. We had the reverse.
Maybe it's because we lost a marriage before that we're just not going to not deal with stuff.
Yeah.
If there's an issue, we're going to deal with it. And that just means that two really emotional, loud people coming together, we're going to have times we butt heads, but we are committed to never letting it just exist. We want to have a great marriage, and that just takes effort.
Yeah. It's vulnerable.
Speaking of commitment, we need to take a quick break. And you're watching I Am Love Builder Show with Casper and Cheryl and our special MVP guest in studio with us. We're going to take another quick break and we'll be right back in just a moment. All right, we are back at I Am Love Builder Show, Casper and Cheryl, and we have our special MVP guest in studio, Robert. You had an idea you want to talk about? Or?
No, I just wanted to say how you were talking about before the break, how after having gone through a relationship that didn't pan out the way you hoped or thought, that in your new relationship, you are making some different choices and decisions on how you handle things.
Mhm.
That's a little bit in my words, but that's what I glean from that, because a lot of things that we teach couples is that just because you've been divorced doesn't mean you can't have a happy next marriage.
Yeah.
However, you cannot be afraid to look back on that marriage,
Mhm.
no matter how awful it was, because there's something in there for you to learn.
For
Yeah,
sure.
and we do carry some of the baggage with us, no matter what you think you don't.
Mhm.
There was always a level of guardedness in me as I went through things. There was always a bit of mistrust in my mind, and it just took a long time for me to be super comfortable with everything. But all that meant is we had to talk about it more. We just had to
Right,
have more conversations, and
right.
um, the challenge is that people don't want to have to put the effort into that, and then you get the results that are not good.
I
Uh,
know.
Yeah.
we're willing to talk it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, we've been willing to talk it out too. I mean, Casper's had, as he has alluded, several failed relationships.
I call it Casper BC before Cheryl.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
I was
Okay.
a hot mess before Cheryl, but
Aw,
I'm better now.
I love that. I love that. I
Better's good.
Yeah, there you go.
We're always trying to encourage couples, don't be afraid to look at your past.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, yes, maybe you didn't make all the right choices and you didn't make all the right decisions, but God doesn't waste anything.
Yeah,
And
for
there is something in there for you to learn, something that will help you grow and develop, and something that will help catapult you into your next relationship where it will be better, more
agreed.
fruitful.
I agree. I think if you don't see where you participated, cannot be one person. One person may
Right.
cause something, but you also had a reaction to that, whatever they may have done. And
Mhm.
now it's that tug of war. So many of times we would have to say, hold on, I know that's the person before you, and you have to take that moment to say, you're talking through me, not
Yeah.
to me. And kind of keep that vulnerability and say, I know this sounds stupid. I'm scared, or this is it, but I'm not blaming you, but I don't know how to navigate this. And so
Right.
it's
Right.
being vulnerable. And
Well, Kathy's always had a deal with me that she doesn't like to end it with until it's resolved. And if we're arguing, I don't want to argue. I grew up in a very scary environment as a kid. My dad was a really angry, mean person, and so
Mhm.
I don't like confrontation. I don't like arguing. It puts a thing inside of me. I feel anxious when people are angry.
Mhm.
And so when Kathy and I would have a disagreement, I'd be like, let's just go to bed. Let's just tomorrow it'll be a better deal. Oh no, we're going to resolve this right now.
Now,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, now you're pissing me off, and so now I don't really want to talk to you about it. And so I had to learn that there is a need for her to know that this will be okay.
Right.
In her marriage, it didn't get resolved. It went on day after day, year after
months.
year, and it never got addressed or resolved. And so I had to learn that there is something in her I need to be aware of and sensitive to. And I had to man up and start being willing to put the extra effort in, figure out, hey, let's at least resolve this so we can go to bed.
Right.
Let's at least agree we do love each other. I mean, right now we're not seeing this eye to eye, and maybe I said some things to hurt your feelings, but do we know we love each other? Yes. Can we at least get to a place where we can go to bed together and not
Yeah.
be angry?
Mhm.
And let's start fresh, but let's get enough done where she has the confidence. What time tomorrow will we meet and resolve this? I
Right.
mean, setting the time was a big deal to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're saying a lot of the things that we teach in the workshop, because
Oh, I
when
love
there is conflict and there's going to be
There's
conflict,
going to be.
there's a way to deal with it so that the issue gets resolved. Because if you don't resolve it, it goes in the corner until the next thing.
Mhm.
And then you pull that back out along with whatever else is in the corner. And now it's not just the one thing, it's like 5 or 6 things.
Yes. Yeah.
You've got to deal with each one and just get them handled and resolved so that if something comes up, it comes up and you deal with it and you just move on faster.
And men are different than women. And so Kathy holds on to things which is good because then that's consistency in her life.
Mhm.
I have some, you and I could get in a heated argument and I'd be like, Casper, you're being a dork. And you'd be like, no, you're a dork. And then we go, oh, whatever. And we move on.
About right.
But Kathy will remember these and feel these things. I mean, so that bothered me. But in that same sense, her ability to love and care for our children and to be empathetic and to love and put up with people in really difficult challenges, when she had to nurse my sister who has dementia and give her a bath. I mean, all these things I would not do as a dude.
Right.
Her nature, her love, her kindness is a strength. And so as a married person, you must take the package deal.
Mhm.
Maybe that person does some stuff you don't like, but do an awful lot of stuff you do like.
Right.
But it all comes together. It's a package deal. There's no way I'm perfect. You take the good and the bad together. And I had to get to a place where I could really appreciate the other side of the package. That
Mhm.
was not, I don't want you to be this way. That's too bad. That's how I am.
Mhm.
Okay, well, then I need to learn to adjust because I like who you are overall. I don't like this, but I don't get to pick that.
Mhm.
I need to see the beauty in that of who she is. And that took a little growing up on my part.
Yeah.
You guys sound a little bit like us because Casper's the one when we have conflict, he wants resolution now.
Good. Yay. Yeah. You keep fighting for it.
I, on the other hand, I don't avoid confrontation, but I always feel like my family, they're hotheads.
Mhm.
We got temper and anger issues. And so
Mhm.
all my life, I have tried to really temper
Yeah.
myself
Right.
when I get into those situations. And I have learned that I might open my mouth and say something that I am going to regret and
Yeah.
I'm going to have to repent for. So
Mhm.
my thing with my husband is that I'll say, okay, I need a timeout.
Yeah.
I need to process this.
Mhm.
And what that really means for me is that I need to go talk to God because I am so angry right now.
Yeah.
Yes. No.
And I need to give it a time to do that, and we
Yeah.
need time to take a break. So
It's true. I mean, as much as I want a resolution of something, I do understand that pausing is very important.
Yep. So I'm gonna let Cheryl process for a minute. We're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
That's good.
We'll be right back.
Texic Coin is the future of money in Texas. Texic Coin is a fast, Layer 1 digital currency designed for generations of honest trade. In many ways, Texic Coin is like Bitcoin. It uses blockchain technology, the decentralized public ledger, to record transactions. Texic Coin makes it easy for anyone to participate in the digital economy. Like Bitcoin, Texic Coin can be traded for other cryptocurrencies or cash. But unlike Bitcoin and other leading cryptos, Texic Coin can only be digitally mined in Texas. Join us as we build the world's largest decentralized cryptocurrency mine. Put control of crypto back in the hands of individuals and away from mega corporations, banks, and foreign nations. With Texic Coin, we can leave the world a better place for our children and future generations.
All right, we're back with the I Am Love Builder show. Casper and Cheryl. We have our special MVP guests. Not pests. They're not pests. They're guests, and they're awesome guests.
They're still in the studio.
And they're still in they're in the green room. But
Okay,
not
there we go.
Most valuable test. I love that.
We are pests. Yes.
Well, I was finishing up and I was saying, I really have to go to God when I'm in that position because I need to go before Him and say, okay. There are things that I won't dump on my husband, and I try not to dump on other human beings, but I will go and dump on the Lord because
Love it.
That's one of the things my mother taught me. He can handle it. Don't try to hide anything because He already knows, He already sees, and He knows what's already there.
Amen.
So as a child, she taught me that, and I learned. So if that's the case, I'm not hiding from God. I'm just going to be open and upfront with Him. And so when I get into that situation, I just pour my heart out.
Yeah.
And say, am I wrong? Holy Spirit, talk to me. What do I do? How do I handle this? And then allow the Holy Spirit to calm me down and minister to me. And now I can go back to my husband with clarity.
Yeah.
And that way we can handle our issues without escalation and, calling each other names, going down that road
Of
that
course.
they would love for us to go down.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. But I think also when Robert wrote this book about accountability and I read it, it is very helpful to take that time to go, okay, what part am I participating? Yes, he's all these amazing things and he's also allowed this, but why aren't we jiving? What is it? And you're right. The enemy would love to come, kill, steal, and destroy. And that's not just something to say. It is true. He
Yes.
wants to devour, especially marriage, and make it a
Mhm.
farce. Or why should people get married? And this is the reason why. But it can be a beautiful thing too. And the Lord has been kind. But yeah, we are human. We are messes. I'm a total mess. And so to have him have to constantly clean up, it's not fair.
Yeah.
I definitely play a part.
And in talking about the book, Robert, let's transition and since nobody cares, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I do for a living is I run CEO peer groups, and I've learned after watching people for all these years either own it or don't own it. That's what accountability means. You own it. That's a simple definition. And the leaders that I worked with who owned it were successful personally and professionally. But there's a lot of times we're not even aware of all the traps that we put ourselves in where we don't truly own it.
Right.
And that's why we wanted to write this book, because I think people think they're being a very accountable person, but they're not. And it's very quick to do things that hold you as a victim. There's 4 things you do to hold yourself back as a victim. You blame, you make excuses, you say, I can't do anything about it, or you wait in hope. And we equate this to climbing a mountain. And in your journey towards accountability, you need to go step by step through the phases that help you understand I am playing the victim when I do those 4 things. And at some point, you get to this point where you say, look, nobody cares until I do. And that's what it had to be for us in our story. In 2019, we owed $90,000 in debt, and that didn't include the house or the cars. And it was causing problems in our marriage. It was causing problems between us and our faith with God. And we kept saying, well, the economy and the business and the franchise and the customers, and we were blaming and making excuses. And we had all these things every year getting worse and worse. And it wasn't until we finally came to the place where we said, look, nobody cares. Nobody cares if our marriage is struggling, if our stress levels are there, if we're having problems with our faith, unless we do something, unless we care enough to do something about it. So that's how we learned it in our own story, and we applied it. And that's part of what's in the book.
That is awesome. Would you also say, Robert, that I would say unintentionally, as from our childhood, we learn to point the finger at others or not take accountability.
Yeah.
Not that our parents on purpose taught us that, but in living in our own homes and what we observe from them, do we kind of pick some of that up?
I think we do. And it's, as a kid, if you get in trouble, you're quick to blame, hey, he told me to do it, or hey, that wasn't my fault. It's just kind of a natural thing. But as an adult, we're supposed to push by that stuff. We're supposed to be aware of ourselves to make decisions that are honest and true. But in our world, we've lost the awareness that your actions have consequences.
Right.
Well, I can go on Facebook and I can say something horrible about you and nothing ever happens. So I can decide to jack up my credit card bills and just not pay them. I can decide to have a job and not like where I work anymore. So I'll take a side job and I just will say I'm working there when I'm really not working there. I mean, there's a lot of things we can do. And then all of a sudden we get fired and we don't realize, oh, how come I got fired? Well, you have 2 jobs. And, there's things that go on that people don't want to own. And we have a whole world of people angry at each other. Who'd you vote for? Who'd you vote for? You vote for that guy? I hate you. You didn't vote for that guy? I hate you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just this thing going on that we're so divided. But if you just own your own crap and show up to the game, being willing to live it out and do your own stuff, if we all owned our own stuff, it would be a very different world.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah, I actually get a kick out of the social media in the sense that there's these sides, right? Everybody's got a side or a team, and they just hate the other team, and they don't even know why they hate the other team.
Yeah.
And I'll put a post up, and I'm kind of neutral, and I'm watching, because as a Christian, I think we need to be removed from that
conflict.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I'll put up a post, and then the 2 sides start chiming in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so what makes you so angry about that? And, well, so and so, he did this and they did that, And man, it's for me, it's fascinating, but for others, it'd be frustrating because they'd be so tangled up in it, they couldn't pull themselves away from it. But I just watch it as a lesson to not go there.
I just think as a Christ follower, we're supposed to model a different standard than everybody else.
Right.
And although I have the right to bash the president, whoever I could have bashed the last guy, I could have bashed this guy, whatever, pick your topic. You have the right to do whatever you want, but we stand accountable to only one person ever, and that's God.
Right.
Everyone else, you can lie, you can deceive, you can weasel out of it. There's really no accountability in this world. Heck, if you're not accountable to your finances, you file bankruptcy and start over. I mean, so there's the whole world of non-accountability, but we will stand accountable before God for everything we do.
Exactly.
And I don't think we're thinking about that when we look at the way we live. And if you really were to say, look, based on your life, you're going to have a really long conversation with Jesus someday. I don't think you're thinking about this is real. This is really real.
Yeah.
And if you really, really believe that, you should live like it.
Yeah.
And the conversation we have with God in Christ is that they're not going to ask us, "Oh, you poor thing. Now, what did they do to you again? Did they say mean things to you?"
Right.
He's going to say, "What did you say to them when they said that mean thing? What did you say to them?"
And look at the model Christ sent for us. He was perfect without sin. He let people beat him and make fun of him and crucify him. And he was without any error. And he was God on top of that, where he could have wiped out everybody.
Right.
And so he said something rude to me. Oh my gosh. So someone hurt your feelings? Jesus must be looking down like, are you kidding me? So I think we've got to be real about the expectation is he said, in this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I've overcome this world, and we can overcome this world too through Christ. And so if we just want to be angry and bitter about everything, there's plenty of things to complain about, but we've been redeemed and have our eternity set in heaven and loved by the God of the universe. And I have a beautiful wife I get to live my life with. You have so much stuff, and you live in America and.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
And we need to take a break. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back in just a moment.
Well, which is my camera?
Right there, all the way down.
Oh, okay, I can talk to him. After all, he's my camera. I can talk to him. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Winning with Love with Casper and Cheryl Stockham. We are here with our wonderful guests.
God has been very graceful. Going back to what you stated, it's that work back.
Yeah. So we weren't arguing with one another, but maybe we needed to be. Right. Maybe we needed to be getting uncomfortable.
I'd only been saved 11 months. He's been saved since he was 19. But at the end of the day, I believe in marriage, and I think that it's really important.
You have been watching Winning with Love with Casper and Cheryl Stockham. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are back with the I Am Love Builders show. That was a little preview of our TV show, Winning with Love. And we have our special MVP guests in studio, Robert and Kathy Hunt. And, the accountability factor in the world, in our youth and here in America is just so low. So I definitely see the need for the book and to really try to get people on that track right up the mountain, as you say.
We have a son who's 23 now, but at the time when you wrote the book, that's what inspired the book, actually.
Yeah. I kept telling him a lot of times when he'd come back with some excuse about why his teacher was this or why the football coach wouldn't let him play this many minutes. And I would say, James, look, nobody cares, man. At the end of the day, when you're older, your wife isn't going to care that you have a jerk boss. She's going to care you lost your job. Right. And at the end of the day, when your boss says you're supposed to do something by the end of the day and you don't do it, he's not going to care that your computer didn't work or that things were hard. You're supposed to do it. You're supposed to get it done. And I think that's the challenge, is that we've made it easy for us to stop being accountable. One of the traps is that we think we're accountable when we're really just being responsible. Responsible is responding to something and doing it because it's a problem that came up. Accountable is to say, this is the thing I'm facing. I should plan ahead and do something about it. So if you got kids and you got to feed them, responsible things to give them food. So take them out for McDonald's and let them eat that and shut up.
Right.
If you have other kids that you really love and you want to teach them real accountability, then you proactively do things and say, hey, let's all cook a meal together. You guys set the table and then you clean the dishes. And then you're teaching them how to be responsible, and you're teaching them not to complain that they don't like that kind of vegetable. You're doing something proactively with the hope you get something at the end. So you're being responsible to feed them McDonald's, but you're being accountable to help them learn how to cook, clean, and be thankful. That's the difference. When just the simplest way, you're looking at you in your whole life, are you being responsible to fix the problems you create, or are you being accountable to avoid them by living the life you're supposed to live?
Yeah. In my other life, BC, I would do things to teach a lesson for the child. And I got the pushback, like, does everything have to be a lesson? Well, yeah. Yeah, it does for them, because
Well, it wouldn't if you learned the first time.
No. Yeah. We're always teaching. They don't realize that we're always teaching them. And even now as adults, you still want to remind them that you are not telling them what to do, but you've had a wiser journey. That's all,
Yes.
And so it's still about accountability, and they are young adults, but we still have a couple more years ahead of them that we might know a little something, but they come around, but it is very difficult to take ownership because it's kind of humiliating. It's very humbling. It's very, wait, I have to care about this in order to make a change. Otherwise, we can walk around and we see a lot of people angry or hurting, and sometimes hurting people make bad decisions, and they don't want to take accountability because there's a hurt there too.
Yeah, I think the easiest example of all this stuff about proactive nature is the IRS says that over 60% of Americans will need someone else to take care of them when they get old enough, when they get in their late part of the years.
Yep.
You have like 50 years to plan for your retirement. And yet we're all caught off guard when all of a sudden we don't have a job and we're old and we can't work. And then we're like, well, someone's got to help me with my rent. And how am I going to get food? And well, you had 50 years to plan for it. I mean, literally, you got 50 years before you can retire. So it's just, you're not being accountable. Now, when you get 67 and you no longer can work and you're getting Social Security, I guess you could be responsible and buy lower cost dog food. But at the end of the day, if you were really being accountable, you'd say, listen, we don't need this and this and this. Let's put away $100 a month so we have some money in the future. Let's do some investing. Let's learn to live a simpler life so we can be ready for the future. And then let's have the freedom to go and serve God wherever he takes us, because we don't have to maintain a certain lifestyle.
Yeah. I told my my daughter and son-in-law, I said, you guys, and they're in their early 20s. I said, buy a house, buy some property, right? Do it now. But they're not, they're going to have to learn, but I said, if I was to go back into my 20s, I start buying stuff, right?
Yeah.
Right?
You're never going to get rich off your paycheck. It's what you do with that money that makes the wealth in this world. Right. And if you're not being proactive in it, you're not being willing to defer a little bit of gratification, live a simpler life today, then you'll never have it when you need it.
It's hard.
I like what you said when you're talking about learning lessons, teaching our children, and it makes me think about the fact that God does the same thing with us.
Right.
I mean,
Absolutely.
he's the great teacher, and so he's always teaching us. We're always learning new lessons. We're always trying to fix or correct the ones that we messed up on.
Yes.
He's so gracious that we get a retake test.
So kind. So kind. I do remember telling the kids, and I still even tell them, we're just big kids. Like, just because we're adult, we really are just bigger kids than you, because certain things have stifled us.
We're still learning.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we don't have it all together, and they do know that we don't have it together. They point it out, but but I think reminding them and us that we are all children of God, and it's not just a sweet thing to say. We are still learning, and because of these children, you are showing me these things that God is showing me what I need to work on. So you are being used in my life as much as I'm being used in your life. And we just take that moment, but as parents, we're always teaching, we're always lecturing, we're always doing something, but also those kids don't realize what they're teaching us, for sure.
Right.
So
Like
Robert, Give me some of the some of your favorite highlights from the book that you like to share with people.
I think there's some tips in there that helps us really understand some of the power of accountability. When you look at a situation you're facing and you say, well, I'd like to start my own company, but I don't have enough money. And so we'd say, change the but to an and. Because if you say, I'd like to start another company, but I don't have enough money, or if I'd like to start a company and I don't have enough money, it clearly tells you what you need to do. Go get more money.
Right.
And then you say, well, I can't do that. Oh, no, don't say I can't. Say I won't. Change I can't to I won't. So when you say, well, I can't go ask people for money. Yeah, you can. That's how most businesses start. You ask a bank for money. You ask friends and family for money. You find another investor. You're asking somebody for money. And so whatever your thing is, when you say I can't, change it to I won't. And again, then you have to ask yourself, why won't you? And I think there's a lot of head trash that goes on in our lives that we're not aware of. And if you could be honest enough with yourself and declare what you really want and then share it with somebody, that's why walking through life with Kathy is so good, because I'll say, hey, this is what I want to do. And then she'll ask me questions. Well, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? I don't know. But then I'm now accountable. I create a place of accountability. I'm not accountable to her. I'm accountable to me. But she can ask me, how's it going? And in that process, she helps me go forward. So if you really want accountability in your life, invite someone into your journey. Let them know what you want to do. I want to start this. I want to change this. Great. And then they can follow you, encourage you, pray for you. But nobody can hold anyone accountable. It's all on you. But if you invite someone into your journey, you're more likely to succeed.
Okay, well, my sponsors are going to hold me accountable. So I need to take one more break.
Got that.
The last break. So when we come back, we're going to make sure we cover the topics that you want to cover in your book and stuff. So we'll be right back in just a moment.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Casper and Cheryl here. And guess what? We won our first year. And we win a Lonzy Award. We can't thank you guys enough. We appreciate you. Yes.
All right, we're back with I Am Love Builder Show. We have Robert and Kathy Hunt in studio. And Robert, you were kind of going through some of the highlights from the book. And like I said, accountability is almost like the anchor to it. But we have a lot of challenges with accountability in our society right now. So give us some more highlights and tips from the book.
Yeah, I think what made it possible for Kathy and I to go through this journey, the day I said was January of 2019, we had our annual planning session as a couple, looking at our life and our business. And we weren't happy. We weren't living the life we wanted. It just was miserable. Mm-hmm. And we agreed that what we wanted most of all was to please the Lord. Mm-hmm. And we weren't doing that by as angry as we were angry at God because he wasn't blessing us, which means giving us enough money to get out of the bad decisions we made. Right. And so we were angry, and I said, we've got to pull the trigger. And when I said, if this doesn't work, we're going to sell the house and start over, she didn't argue. She just said, okay, because she believes in where we were going and our desire to serve the Lord. Mm-hmm. And it was the thing that made the most sense. We have equity. We could start all over. We could fix this problem. Right. So I think having a godly wife who believes in the same things you believe in, which is honoring the Lord with the resources he's given us. Mm-hmm. We weren't honoring him before. And so to get to a place where we could was essential. The second part of that is real accountability requires vulnerability. And even though Kathy was supporting me, we obviously got in that problem together. So the idea of us getting out of it by ourselves wasn't going to be easy. And so we hired a guy who was a financial educator. He did Dave Ramsey's stuff. And Matthew Carter came to our house and sat and looked at our money and looked at our checking account, and looked at our bills and goes, oh my gosh. And we had to be embarrassed in front of some other human and say, this is kind of how we roll. And he'd ask, well, did you want to live like that? No. Well, why are you doing it? And
Right.
it was embarrassing. And we paid him $250 to come criticize us. It was really amazing, you know.
It was a good investment.
But you need if you're going to really have accountability, you need to be vulnerable.
Mhm.
And you need to be vulnerable with people who will encourage you to do the right thing. And so one of the ways you can do that is go to our website, nobodycaresbook.com. Take the satisfaction assessment. It's free. Go to the resource tab at the top of the page, and you'll click on that, and you'll see two little wheels that are on the screen. And all you do is fill out the little wheels, or little pie charts, and that will help you to see where your satisfaction is in your life. If you click on there it is. And so fill those out and then be completely honest. Don't try and sandbag and say your marriage is great if it's not great.
It's for you.
Yeah, this is for you. And then when you've done that, then you can look at that and go, well, why am I not happy with my spouse? Why am I not happy with my work? Why am I not happy with whatever? And be really honest. And then if you really want to change something, then show it to somebody and say, look, I struggle with this. This is something I don't like and I want to change it. And invite them into your journey. They won't hold you accountable. That's all on you, but they can encourage you and pray for you and challenge you if you let them. And that's where real accountability starts, is when we're vulnerable with somebody else.
Or just also take it and say before the Lord and present it. He sees it anyway, but if you can give it to him and say, I see this in front of me. I see this blueprint, Lord, but what do you want me to work on first? Because you might have 7 things. Work on that first thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
The most important.
For us, it was our finances. And it was the thing that was a ripple effect into everything else in our life. We went to marriage counseling because we knew we had kind of hurt each other's feelings over the years of that. Mm-hmm. And then started looking at our relationships with our friends and family and all the things that were out there that we just kind of said, well, you know, we're so screwed financially. What do you care about anything else? Mm-hmm. But when you've got hope in your life and you brought back the opportunity to own it, we owned everything at that point. We were accountability. When you take accountability for everything in your life, you gain the power to change anything in your life. Mm-hmm. And when we changed that first one, the power was there. And we said, listen, let's do this and this and this. And now we look at everything like, hey, we own it. So it means we can change it. There's nothing outside of our parameter. And in the strength of God and the wisdom of the Holy Spirit, we can definitely address everything.
There's a lot to be said for ownership, taking ownership in your situation, whatever it is.
Right.
Loss of a job, business not going well, whatever. Mm-hmm. Take ownership in it, you know, and take it to God. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like what you said there, Robert, because I have found that we're first and foremost, and we've probably already said it in a different way, we're first and foremost accountable to our Father.
Right. Right.
God. And he is so gracious, kind, and compassionate that even when you go to him and say, okay, God, I totally messed this up.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I had this plan and I thought it was going to work, but it did not work. Mm-hmm. And so it is totally my fault. I repent. So I need help. Can you please help me get out of this hole?
Right.
Yeah. And if you're the kind of person who's always going to God and repenting and it keeps going back over and over again, then you're lacking accountability. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to really stop that endless cycle, tell someone else that you're repenting about it. Mm-hmm. Let them know what you're doing wrong. And when you invite someone else into your journey, they don't babysit you, but it's no longer a hidden secret. That's why alcoholics, when they go to an Alcoholics Anonymous, they stand up and say, hey, I'm Robert, I'm an alcoholic, because they have to get used to admitting that they have a problem. And so if you spend money, if you treat someone poorly wrong, if you're dishonest in things, whatever your thing is that you're constantly repenting to the Lord, invite someone into your journey so they can walk with you, and then you'll know they know your secret. And it's less likely that you'll continue to do it because somebody else knows. God already knows, but he lets you repent and go over and over again, but you're not getting better. Invite someone into that journey.
Because what we don't share in the light, the darkness will definitely play with us and tell us lies. So if we can bring it to light for healing, for prayer, then we've already, the battle of the spiritual battle, at least, which we have within ourselves, is definitely going to be much more powerful to make that change.
Yeah. That has always fascinated me with Christians, because after when you repent for it, God takes it in and instantly forgives you for it.
Yeah.
And he has moved on. He's forgotten all about it. So if you repent again, he said, what are you repenting for? We've already.
Yeah. Right. Hard to wrap our heads
Well,
around that because we don't do that as humans.
That's because we allow shame to rule in our life. There's guilt
Yeah.
and there's shame. Guilt,
Yeah.
you're right, you're wrong, you're guilty. Move on. Shame it holds you as a victim. Don't
Yeah.
let shame hold you back. The Lord has removed it. Don't pick it up and put it back on your back again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure and stuff. We're going to have you back for part 2 because we got a lot more to unpack in the book and all the other stuff you guys do. Because you guys, do you do like any workshops and stuff like that as well? Or
Yeah, we do the Nobody Cares workshop. Really positive, encouraging title. We're sticking with it though. We've done 2 of them already, and we love doing it. We love you walk in with a problem, walk out with a solution, understand how to fix the things in your life. We're going to apply the principles. It's very tangible. We'll take it anywhere in the world. So fill up a room in Colorado. We'll bring it up there and then teach it to your whole city.
I like it. I like it a lot.
That'd
So
be
thank
great.
you guys for being on the show.
Thank you.
Folks, you've been watching I Am Love Builder show with Casper and Cheryl. We have an MVP program, Most Valuable Partner program, to make sure you're accountable to yourself and to God. And then when you're working on yourself and your spouse is working on their self together, you guys have something extremely powerful. You can get a lot more information by going to our website and downloading our app. And at the end of the day, we want you to become MVPs, and we want you to make sure that you are having fun, because if you're not having fun,
You're not doing it right.
So
Love it.
we will
Love
see you guys on the next show. Bye-bye for now.